call is
This
now
is
being
Global
recorded.
Tellink. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello, Alejandro.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I want to go ahead and welcome you to the show. I went ahead and pulled the trigger, and we are live now.
All right.
All right. So right now, we were just talking, and I was kind of like sharing with you my experiences in juvenile hall, like the type of abuses and whatnot that I saw. Some of the staff members take out their frustration and whatnot on kids or whatnot. So I was before our call was cut off, I was explaining to you about some abuses that I saw at Silmar.
Yes.
Okay. So and there was this one particular staff. His name was they referred to him as Big Lou. I don't know if that was his if Lou was his real name, but it was he was a black gentleman. He had about I would say maybe like 22-inch arms, maybe 25. I don't know, but the dude was big. All right, and I believe he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was in one of the units that would get you ready for camp. I think it was like for phase 1. So anyhow, I had just landed in there, and I had a cellie that was African American, and one of the messengers came down. You know, sometimes they would get some of the kids, and you would be a messenger, and you would pretty much like do like a trustee, in other words, and you would do like sweeping or whatever needed to be done around the unit. And he came down. I'm not exactly sure what the reason was, but somebody disrespected this kid. They called him out his name or something. So I think the staff heard it and kind of asked him like, "Hey, what happened?" And he told them. So this staff member, Big Lou, he had everybody come out of their rooms, and everybody lined up next to their door. And what he started doing was like, "Hey, if you guys don't, if whoever said that doesn't say that they did it, I'm gonna punch each one of you in the chest." So he was like, "I'm gonna give you one opportunity, you know. So for the person that said it, you could go ahead and take this like a man, or you're gonna have everybody else get hurt."
Yeah.
So nobody spoke up. Everybody was shitting bricks. In other words, everybody was scared.
Yeah.
So then, sure enough, he starts coming. He was like, "Hey, was it you that said it?" No. Pah! He would just let you have it. Punch you right in the chest. Boom. And después, so he's going down, and he's getting closer. He's getting closer. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm about to get in man." I was skinny. I was skinny at that time. I'm shitting bricks. I'm like, "Man, my chest can't handle this." And so he's coming down. "Did you say anything? Was it you?" No. Pop. Just going down. In each unit, maybe I would say like each side, I would say maybe like 50 kids per side. I think, if I remember correctly. And then so the trustee, when it came to our to our turn to get sucked up in the chest, the trustee was like, "Nah, it wasn't them. I was actually talking to his cellie." So he was like, "All right, then cool." So we got saved. I'm like, "Oh man, what a relief!" I didn't have to get socked up for no reason.
Yeah.
But everybody else, they got it. And I was like, "Oh man, like that sucked. That sucked." And that dude, he was known for that, because I remember when so I left, and then I would come back to Silmar, and it was always something. I remember this other time I was finishing up my last camp program, and I was there for medical. I had a ingrown toenail, or my nail was infected, so I went back for medical, and I ended up in I ended up in Silmar. I don't know if it was the same unit, but he was there. And I remember this one time, and I used to hate, like, for dinner when they would give like this. It was like a piece of ham, and with seaweed. It was spinach. It was really gross, and with like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And I traded that stuff because I couldn't. That stuff was just disgusting. So I think I traded like my home meal for like a pack of cookies, like graham crackers. And
Yeah, for the snack they used to give us.
Yeah. So I was like, "Man, I'm gonna be hungry later on." So you know what? I took my little 2 packs of cookies, and I hit him on my pants. Man, why did Big Lou come to my he came to my door, and then he was like, "Hey, did you bring some food back?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Why?" I was like, because I didn't eat none of that food. It's nasty, like I brought these cookies so I could eat them later on. And then he was like, you know what? I appreciate your honesty. I'm not gonna sit there and lie to him, man. He was sock me up. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. You seen that? You were like, oh yeah, that ain't gonna happen to me.
Yeah, nah. So, but what did happen to me was, he made me do like 500 like push-ups for 100, jumping jacks 500. I don't know what. I ended up doing a total like 1500 of like a workout. By the time I was done with that, my legs were sore. I couldn't even walk. I went back to camp, and luckily I had a doctor's note from my infected nail, and I didn't have to do none of that stuff. I could barely walk. I was in bad shape, but at least I didn't get socked
Oh
up. And
yeah. 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 And and those stats. That's the thing. Like juvenile hall stats. Like it's like you say. Like I don't know if their frustration they're taking out, but they do a lot. Do those things because they know they could get away with it. You know what I mean? Because there's nobody. All that. Nobody wants to be labeled as the one that told. You know what I mean? So a lot of us just stay quiet and serve with whatever punishment that they feel fit to give us. So
and the reason I shared that story with you, just in just maybe like you would recall something or you saw something that happened to happen.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Maybe it would jog your memory, and maybe you would recall like if you saw something like that. Because I seen a few different things. I did spend a lot of times in the hall in the juvenile system, and some of the stuff the staff would do was straight up scandalous. It wasn't cool. And I remember this other time I was in Eastlake, and somebody came down. I'm not exactly sure what capacity they worked in the juvenile system, but it turned out that I think they had hurt a kid, and then that kid ended up telling his parents, and then his parents, made a big fuss within the probation department, and they opened up a case. So they had I'm guessing maybe it was an investigator, to come talk to us, but they didn't talk to me just because I wasn't there when whatever happened. And but I do recall that they were talking to some of the other kids, and then a lot of the other kids, they weren't really saying what happened. They were pretty much saying that kid, he was lying, but in actuality, it had happened because I had asked them, and they were like, "Yeah, it's true," but nobody's felt comfortable to say the truth because I mean, obviously, we're there,
yeah,
and you have to deal with the repercussions. And some of these staff
exactly.
members, I think they even talked to the dudes that were there. They told me, "Hey, this is what you need to say, and if you say anything different, it was gonna be all bad for them." So I understand.
Yeah,
I could sympathize as far as why they weren't honest, but it kind of sucks for that kid, because he went to his parents, and obviously something had happened, big enough for the parents, to reach out to the probation department to for it to try to get corrected. But ultimately, like stuff like that would always get swept under the rugs, and I think it's something important
yeah,
that we have to speak on, because a lot of times, our voice doesn't matter, especially if you're a kid and you're in those type of situations. No adult's gonna believe you.
hmm,
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
throughout the years, people would make false claims and whatnot. So when something real is happening, it falls on deaf ears, and and
it,
they, and they don't and they don't take any action.
yeah, yeah. Fortunately, that's usually the what the case is, and you know what? I can't sit here and tell you that I seen that, like I mentioned to you earlier. Most of the time I did a lot of juvenile time from the early '90s all the way to like the late '90s to right before I went to camp. As a matter of fact, I went to the hall on the last case right before I turned 18 for a gun case, and because I was just mere days from turning 18, the judge found it over to adult. Well, gave me he sentenced me himself, but he gave me adult time. Ordered me to do it again a year in county jail, and in those times, yeah, I mean, a county jail for a year, you would like do maybe like 3 months, 4 months at the most. I believe. I think I did like 3.5 months out of that year that I got for that gun case, and this was before the laws had passed for the guns where you get busted for a gun, you were going to do 10 years and a year for every bullet that you were in the that was in the clip, you know. So I spent a lot of my juvenile life in the halls, and I think the worst that I see was, like I said, in Los Padrinos, because that's where I did most of my time. I did some time in Silmar and a little bit at Central, but because where I lived at and where my neighborhood was at, you have certain regions that take you to certain that you're designated to go to a certain uh, juvenile hall. In my area, took you straight to LP, Los Padrinos, and I mean, I used to hear things, you know what I mean, that uh, certain staffs, uh, like for kids that were there for like sexual crimes, that what I mean, that they will allow other kids to like abuse you sexually. You know what I mean? I never seen it. I would always hear those rumors, right? But I never saw it firsthand. But what I would did see was, like I mentioned to you earlier, was the cop or the staff that used to take us to court and watched over us in court. He was a cool cat, but he was real strict, and he used to hate uh, that we would fight in the waiting room, and he would tell us, yeah, I mean, you fight, you're gonna have to deal with me. And sure enough, um, if we will end up fighting, and juvenile hall is a given that you're gonna fight. If you're in gangbanging, it's nothing but gangbanging in juvenile hall. As soon as you get there, if you guys are coming in, fools are hitting you up. As soon as you sit down and you go in the court, as soon as you sit down in the waiting room, you're getting hit up by everybody. Where are you from? Where are you from? And you say about it that you don't get along, you're squabbling, you're fighting. If you don't, I mean, you're getting dropped level, or um, you're getting labeled as a punk, and everybody's fucking trying to punk you from there here on out. So in juvenile hall is a little gladiator school, because that reputation follows you. Believe it or not, it follows you, especially because the system is a small world. I mean, a lot of fools that you did time in juvenile hall, you're gonna run into them in the county and upstate. You know what I mean? And reputation like that always follows you, and you would never want to be the one that labeled as a punk. You know what I mean? So even if you're scared, or even if you knew you were going to get beat up, the moment they dissed your barrio, it was on and cracking. You had to fight. You know what I mean? And I remember that staff. I forgot his name. I can't. It's not that not because I don't want to say his name. It's just that I just can't remember it. It's been so long. Um, but every single cat that will fight, you will come out beat up, more beat up from him than from the actual fight. Yeah, I mean, because he was right there, right, just feet away from us. So we ended up fighting. We were only fighting for a couple seconds. You know what I mean? But once he got a hold of you, he would take you to the little holding cell on the side, and he would beat the shit out of you. You come out all lumped up from there. You know what I mean? And that was like your what is it called? Your scars from your battle wounds. You know what I mean? That way you were getting your battle wounds from him, not from the other individual that you were fighting. You know what I mean? Um, but I think that's about the worst that I seen. Anything else? It was just hear things that I would just hear and never saw myself.
I'm gonna go ahead and share this story with the audience. And like you said, we were speaking, off of the not on live, and I did share this with you. But back like in the early '90s, I was in Unit AB, and there was a staff called his name was Mr. Ross.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
And Mr. Ross, for those of you that were there or maybe don't remember who, or you can't put a name or a face to the name. He was an older African American gentleman, and he had like this I don't know what it's called when you lose the pigment in your like your fingertips and throughout like your body. He had that thing going on. So I remember this one time there was this young cat. I think his name was Boxer. I don't remember exactly what neighborhood he was from, but anyhow, so he tagged on the floor, he carved his name onto the tile, and the staff ended up seeing it later on in the evening or whatnot, and they asked all the messengers like, hey, like, do you know what's going on with this? And all the messengers told, and the messengers were not just one race. It was a mixture of races, so it wasn't just like one
Yeah.
specific
This
group
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
that told pretty much everybody told. And then I was like, what the, like, what's going on here? Like, where am I? So they tell, they tell on him, and they ended up calling that dude up that they told on, and the staff brought him out, and they had him like that little office that was between A and B, where the staffs would hang out, and they're like, hey, like, did you do this? And of course, dude denied it. So they asked him like a few times. He kept on denying it. He was like, all right, then cool. You want to deny it? Boom, put on his. I forgot to mention that this was nighttime already. So when in the halls, when you go to sleep, you'll be sleeping in your underwears and in a t-shirt. Give me a moment.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, I know the call was cut off, and so I continued the story. So I was up to the part where I was explaining to everybody that when we would sleep in the halls, we would sleep in our underwears and in our t-shirts and our socks. So they have him. The staff are asking him, if he did it, and of course he's denying it. So they ended up pulling down his underwears, and they ended up pepper spraying. They ended up pretty much like using the whole can. And this wasn't the little can of pepper spray. This was like the big one, like the one that you use like on in prison. So they're pepper spraying him.
Yeah.
Man, they're lighting him up all over his lower region. Man, he started screaming. I was like, oh man, that's messed up. That's scandalous. That's scandalous. And then
Yeah.
the,
And anyone that's been sprayed with those things, they know, that, I mean, you're going to be burning.
yeah, and the scandalous part was that they took him out of there and they took him to the box, and they didn't shower him. They took him just like that, and I was like, oh man, he must be in pain. He was in pain, and I don't think I ever saw him again. But I was like, man, like that's one of those events in your life that you never forget, and you think about like, man, like that was straight scandalous, for them to do that, especially over some, like, he wrote on the floor, and then after like maybe a day or two, you couldn't even see it anymore because it's just white for that moment, and then once you wipe it down and clean it, it's like you buff the floor, and you couldn't see any scratches anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
And then not to say that all staff are bad, because I did have some good interactions with some staffs. I remember when I was up in Camp Anazuka, there was this staff named Dozier, Mr. Dozier, and he used to bring down his PS1 at this time, and Tekken 3 was really big at that time, and I was like one of the only kids that knew how to play Tekken. I would get down with martial law. I would get down with like the combos and whatnot. And this dude, when he was because they would sleep up there in camp. Like if they weren't working, they had like some dorms in the back where they would where the staff would sleep. And sometimes when he was up there, he used to put me out. He used to pull me out of the unit, like out of camp, and then he used to take me over to the school area, and we would just sit there and just play. We would be playing PS1 for like hours, like on end, and man, just moments like that, I appreciate it, because I was away from whatever was going on in camp, and we just got to chill, just play, and I kind of like forgot, just for those few hours that I wasn't in camp.
Yeah, it takes you out of that world. You know what I mean? It brings you out of that little bit into the normal life, and yeah, I mean that we miss. There was, yeah, I was about to say that too earlier. The There's always those bad experiences that you see, or that bad people, staff that you run across, but like those, you run into those, you also run into the good ones. You know what I mean? I do remember a lot of I'm not good with names, but
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I do remember a lot of stacks that were real cool, especially in the camp. In the camps, right there, they're already more into uh, like helping you out. You know what I mean? Righteously. When you're in like the juvenile hall fighting your cases still, that's where I used to tend to see like the more fucked up stacks. So you went to camp. That's where I seen a few good stacks. They were cool. You know, camp's always been was always better than juvenile hall though. You got a lot of more freedom. The visits were a lot more better, but nonetheless, you're still doing time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody. I don't recommend for anybody to go there to any type of incarceration situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And one of the reasons that I wanted to touch on juvenile hall because juvenile hall is pretty much like your first step. When you're going down that life,
Yeah,
that's something you're gonna
yeah,
if you're involved in the streets or whatnot and getting in trouble, you that's the first place you're gonna end up in. And these are some of the things you might have to endure or witness or it just hopefully if somebody listens to this they kind of get the picture of what they're signing up for. You're giving somebody else
yeah.
control because you're not in control of any of your movements. You have to listen to somebody, a staff member, and they're gonna dictate everything you do for whatever amount of time that you're in the system.
Yes, yeah. You're completely 100% correct on that. And this is just from juvenile hall all the way to prison. It's just the only thing that differs is um, the amount of like freedom and how you get treated. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're still doing time. Um, they're telling you in juvenile hall, you have to ask permission even to go to the restroom because I don't know if you remember in the juvenile hall. I heard it's different now. I heard that nowadays the juvenile halls have the sinks and toilets in the cell. Back then it wasn't like that. Back then you had to knock on the door and wait if you really needed to take a crap or take a piss and if they were in a bad mood or they were hung over whatever they were going through, they would just ignore the hell out of you and you're right there trying to hold it and you know what I mean? Like, and when they did finally let you go, they're telling you, oh, you got 5 minutes. You got 2 minutes. Like, who takes a crap in 5 minutes? So, you know what I mean? And all this, you start getting accustomed to. I remember that, you have limited time to eat. You got limited time to take a crap. You got limited time to wash up. You got limited time to shower. Everything they're running on the schedule. You know what I mean? So all that you get so used to it that you even bring it out to the streets. So I remember like every time I got out of jail or out of juvie, I'll get out and then I'll be eating and everybody's in the table and they're enjoying the meal and I'm scarfing everything down. You know what I mean? And I remember my mom used to tell me like, hey, like slow down, it's not going nowhere. You know what I mean? And I used to catch myself like, yeah, yeah, I'm right. I'm no longer in juvie. You know what I mean? But they that's how they put you. They put you in that mindset. You know what I mean? That they entrap your mind as well. You know what I mean? And the last thing I want is for all these uh, upcoming generations to have to experience any of that. You know, um, especially my loved ones. You know what I mean? I got three boys, and uh, I mean they got my boys are good kids up to the moment they haven't had um, that experience to have to like gone to jail. They gone to school or they work, but I have one of them that likes the lifestyle. And you know all of us growing up on when our parents are always telling us things, hey, don't do this, don't do that, and at the moment we always think that they're doing it. I don't. for bad reasons. I don't know why we even think that way, but you don't know how many times I caught myself telling my boy something, giving him advice, and I remember going back to when my parents were telling me those exact same words, and then they used to tell me, man, you might look at me and think that I'm telling you this just to mess with you or to bother you, or to hate on you, but when you grow up and you have your kids, you're going to understand what I'm telling you right now, and that is so true. Now that I find myself in this situation and I'm telling my sons, my kids, certain advice, I always remember the words that my parents used to tell me. That only if I would have listened.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Maybe now I wouldn't be caught up in this situation where I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, and it works out like it works. It works out like that sometimes, unfortunately. And you know what? I wanted to touch on something also because you might be listening to this recording or whatnot, not not live or later on. But just be aware, if you done something 5, 10 years, maybe 20, 30 years, one day it might catch up to you. It might not be today, tomorrow, or even 5 years or 10 years. Right now with the advancements of technology and DNA and forensics,
Yeah.
they're starting to say they're starting to solve a lot of cold cases that otherwise would have
Yeah.
they would have never figured out. So that's something that people have to think about also. Not only do you have to worry about, if you committed like certain crimes and whatnot with your crimey or somebody else, if somebody knows your secret, you have to worry about that person telling their girlfriend or possibly
Yeah.
even using it
Yeah.
as
As a
a
escape,
free, you get out of jail card, a free jail.
a deal,
Yeah,
a free
yeah, yeah,
pass.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and now you have to worry about
Yeah.
if somehow they make some advancements on technology and they're able to either figure out your fingerprints, figure out your DNA, or maybe you had a cell phone on you and they track down your GPS coordinations. There's like so many ways right now that they could figure stuff out. It's not even worth it. And
Yeah.
and and you
Well,
do
that's
have.
exactly what happened with me.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect example because of that. You know what I mean? I got caught 10 years after the I did this crime, and 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 I was already doing good. I wasn't gangbanging no more. I was already married. I had my kids at that time. My I got busted. My youngest was only 2 years old. My oldest was 6. You know, and now they're grown men. My oldest is about to be 20 years old this year. You know what I mean? And um, yeah, I missed their whole life. And seeing this is what I was meaning when earlier in the interview about the when you victimize because of your crimes, you certain decisions you make in your past that catch up in your to you in the future that end up making victims out of people that didn't even that have nothing to do with you at when you made the mistake or when you made the bad decision. You know what I mean? 10 years later on, my kids end up paying for something that I did even before they were uh, even born, even before they were even thought about being conceived. You know what I mean? I hadn't even met my wife, when I had done this, and that was another victim that I created. Because of that, she had to raise 3 boys on her own. Um, you know, um, she went through a lot of struggles. Not till now, and she's really starting to like get back on her feet and but I made her suffer. I made her suffer because of a bad decision that I did. I made my kids suffer for a bad decision I did. You know what I mean? And like you say, with how things are now, a lot of things a lot of past demons are being brought up on a lot of people, because of the advancement of technology and the science, DNA, all that. And it's only going to get better. I mean, now it's going to be hard for anybody to get away with anything. So My advice to everybody out there that's listening or that listens to this, that like listen to your parents, listen to your loved ones that are always only trying to help you out, because all those words that they tell you, they're not doing it to hate on you, or to give you a hard time. They're doing it because they love you, and the last thing they want to do um, is see you behind the bars. And remember, we don't do the time bar on our own. You know what I mean? Like, your families either stick with you, they're doing that time with you, either through the visiting, through having to send you money, having to send you packages, having to travel to go see you. You know what I mean? And yeah,
You have 60 seconds remaining.
that's
Yeah.
a lot to think about when you're caught in a situation of whether to do it or not.
And not only that, also, so like in your case, you got a double whammy. Okay, so you got picked up on a cold case, and then that cold case, you committed a robbery without knowing that the
Yeah,
where you committed the robbery, this stuff belonged to somebody else. So you hit the system, and people are starting to figure out. It might have, it was 2 years later, but they started to figure out that you try to take somebody else's stuff, and now everybody's looking at you to try to move on you because
yeah,
you you made a
yeah.
decision.
Over
And
money,
yeah.
over because you mess with their money, they see it as, I mean. So your life becomes worthless now because what the person that was valuable to them uh, is no longer here, or just they take it as
All right, the call went ahead and cut off. He should be calling us shortly. And for anybody that's here right now, I'm probably gonna have this live on maybe for another, maybe till like about 7:25 or whatnot. So like another, like a little bit over 30 minutes. I'm gonna be having another guest come in. I'm gonna be having Salas Johnson coming on. So we're probably gonna be on for another hour. After that, we'll probably start about like 7:30 or 7:40. So if you don't have your notifications on, go ahead and turn them on, and you'll be notified as soon as we go live. And I mean, hopefully you guys show up and you guys are finding, you guys are getting some value out of these conversations and whatnot. So right now we're just gonna wait for him to call back, and we're just gonna go ahead and continue with his story and his message. And give me a moment.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right. I know you were cut off in the middle of the comment you were gonna make. Do you want to go ahead and continue?
Yeah, like I was saying, over the decisions that I made on, like, certain individuals starting to see it as, like you say, kind of, it was 2 years after on the fact, but they investigated. They take things like as a personal thing, you know what I mean? So no, my life became uh, a target, you know what I mean? And in that same sense, you know what I mean? Like, they saw me as, like, because I mess with their money, now I'm not worth nothing, you know what I mean? I'm disposable to them, you know what I mean? So, and the same thing, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, not just me, but there's a lot of cats in the same situation, you know what I mean? Over just cents, you know what I mean? They right away put a price tag over your head, you know what I mean? And they see as that's all your life was worth, those few dollars that they lost, you know? So
And for anybody that's out here, I do see that
they
there's
said,
sorry to cut you off, Alejandro. Just wanted to throw this out here.
That's okay.
I know there is 8 people watching the stream right now, and it is an interactive stream. So if there's any questions that you want to ask, go ahead and just drop them to the live chat, and I'll go ahead and read them off to Alejandro, and he'll go ahead and answer those questions. So I mean, don't be afraid, don't be shy. As long as no. I guess I mean, they're just saying there's no stupid questions, but there might be. But if you have any
Yeah.
questions, go ahead and ask them. Don't hesitate. Get in there in the chat, and that's the reason I'm doing these lives. So if you're watching these videos and you think about something and you're curious, you want to know like about prison or the juvenile system, probation, going to court or whatnot, these gentlemen here could answer your questions. So you could go ahead and lay to rest any curiosities that you have about living this type of lifestyle or whatnot. And I'll go ahead and hand over the
Yeah.
mic back to you.
Like yeah, like that. In that, so you don't have to find out firsthand. You know what I mean? You have any curiosities or want to know anything in particular? You know what I mean? Better to hear it from somebody that really lived it, so you could try to avoid it. You know what I mean? Especially situations like this, because I don't wish this upon nobody. You know, when you do time, you'd be surprised the smallest little things that you miss. You know, being able to go to the fridge. You know, when you get hungry. You know what I mean? And make yourself something to eat. Being able to just want to step uh, outside to get some fresh air. Being able to like have control of your life. I mean, bottom line of it is that. You know, I mean, we lose complete. All my life, since I was 13 years old, since the first time I left, I ran away from my house. I've always taken care of myself. You know, I've always had control of my life. And that was one of the hardest things I had to come in content to be content with was the fact that I have to give control of my life over to somebody else. You know what I mean? Um, I have to ask permission for them to open my door to be able to step out of my cell. You know, at any given time, they feel like they not forget it. I mean, if I want to go out to work, and they just feel like just because they don't need me out there or whatever. No, it's stay inside your cell. So now I'm stuck in the cell. You know what I mean? Being able to shower when you want. For anybody that has done time, because you're confined in a cell. Uh, Even when we take a piss, you know what I mean? Out of respect to our cellies, we don't stand and take a piss. We sit down. You know what I mean? And for a lot of men out there, you know what I mean, that could sound a little degrading, but it's out of respect out of the next man. You know what I mean? So we sit down to take a piss, and you miss that. Just a mere fact, you know what I mean? That to be able, as a man, to be able to stand up and take a righteous piss, standing up as a man, can't even do that. You know what I mean? A lot of little bullshit that things that we gotta deal with that seem insignificant to when you live in a normal life out there. You know what I mean? But the moment that they're gone, you start missing it, and there's no need for none of that. I mean, you got control of your life. I mean, you have that control to be able to say, nah, I'm not gonna do this. Nah, it's not worth my freedom. Freedom is priceless, man. Freedom is right now. I would give anything to be able to have my freedom. I would give up anything to be able to have my freedom back.
And right now, I want to touch on something. Right now, you were talking about when you urinate, you sit down, and there might be somebody in the audience be like, hell no, I'm not gonna do that. If somebody thinks like that, they get to prison.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Uh, what's gonna
I'm
happen to
telling
them?
you. Like it sounds like a little degrading. You know what I mean? But the moment that if you come into a cell with a grown man in his room, and you think that you're gonna stick out your thing out there and the other man's gonna take it as disrespect. You know what I mean? And take flight on you at the moment. So I mean, might not. I mean, he might tell you, "Hey, Owens, have a little fucking respect. Sit down." I mean, I don't want to see your shit. You know what I mean? But you catch the wrong person at the wrong time. Yeah, I mean, anything could happen.
Yeah, he might take it like you're trying to tempt him, like if you're dangling like a worm in front of his
Yeah,
face, like if he's a fish and your thing's a worm, So people, you never know what's going through
yeah,
somebody's mind when you're in this situation. So you gotta
exactly.
definitely proceed with caution.
And in prison, well, actually anywhere in the system, respect is a big thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people lose their lives because they did something that in the streets you would find as a normal thing. But you come in here and you do it, and the next man finds it as a disrespect. Just a something simple as you're walking and somebody steps on the back of your shoe, or your feet by accident. Many people out there see it as nothing. Some people just keep on pushing, don't even apologize to you. Hey, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? My bad, you know. In here, you do that, you keep on pushing that. A lot of times, that guy takes it as disrespect, and I mean, if they don't know you, I mean, all right, who do you think I am, some kind of punk? You know what I mean? Especially with people around you, and a lot of people see it, you you start feeling like
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm not gonna let this fool do that to me in front of everybody. You know what I mean? So the fuck does he think I am? You know? And bam, there it goes. You get caught up in a situation over something so insignificant as stepping on somebody else's shoe. You know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't think I've ever seen like somebody, because I mean, the farthest I went up in my criminal career was I went to county, and that was it for me. I figured, I'd rather be on the street making peanuts than making peanuts on in state prison. So yeah,
Yeah.
like but you
You're
do hear
right
those
on that.
crazy stories.
Yeah. Believe it or not, it happens all around. And a lot of people don't um because they never experienced it. They think it's all fun and games. They think that um they're out there living a life, doing their thing, and uh just because they did a little bit of time and they get out, and the homies are all up on your jaw, like, oh yeah, the homie just got out of jail, woo," you know but never really experienced the full story, the full experience. I mean, you never hit the level 4 180 prison yard. I mean, when you're nothing but killers, and it's like you gotta be walking literally on eggshells because you step out of line. I mean, you're liable to get stabbed. I mean, I know that I know it's out there. I know it's out there how people have heard how, like, in some prisons it's like uh, fools are getting butchered over racial tension, over um, just somebody else's order, just because they felt fit that, that they didn't see something that they like, and they give an order, and you gotta follow those orders.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
On the GP, you know what I mean? In the GP side, you're following the next man, and you have to follow orders. If not, you're gonna get caught. Prison is it's nothing nice, man. It really is not.
Yeah, but your homies, they don't tell you all of that. When you're on the street and you're putting in
No.
that work, they're not telling you like what's gonna
Yeah.
happen to you once you start navigating this system, how the things really are. That you get into
Yeah.
these cells or dorms, and you gotta listen to somebody else. There's rules and regulations that you gotta abide by, that you might not be aware of when you decide to join your neighborhood, or partake in illegal activities, if you will. And
Yeah. Are you seeing it's the fun side of it?
yeah, it's all fun and games until somebody they're putting something in you, and and they will, one
Yeah.
way or another. You're not gonna be able to get away from it.
Yeah.
And another thing too that I
You're not
think
gonna like.
a lot of people don't focus on is people are always judging when you're in prison or you're in these lockup facilities. You you smile wrong, you smile too much, or even a hand movement. You move your hand one way. Fools are gonna be saying you're feminine, and they're gonna be judging you. You don't brush your teeth when you wake
Yeah.
up in the morning fast enough. They're gonna be talking all kinds of madness. Like you're being judged for everything you do in prison. Am I lying, Alejandro?
No, no, you're completely right. I mean, you're 100% right. Everything, any movement, anything you do, you're being watched. Just putting it that way. There's nothing that you. There's no privacy whatsoever. Nothing. You can hide nothing. Everything here, it will always come out to the open. Everything's always. Everybody's always willing, and sometimes it's just out of like the next man just trying to snake you, or or just trying to hate on you, whatever reason, no. Yeah, I mean, it's everything, everything, everything. They're watching everything. I mean, that's the I mean simplest way to put it, man. Like you said, and that's the last thing you want to get pegged as. You know what I mean? Because uh, cause believe it or not, you know what I mean? And it is heard of. I know everybody has heard of. You know what I mean? There are those booty bandits that are always trying out to find that those who they see as bait, and just because that the way you walked or the way you laughed or the way that you carried yourself, you know what I mean? Might make you become a target.
Yeah,
You
absolutely,
just gotta
absolutely.
watch everything you do.
And with this channel, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the other side. Yeah, like all that stabbings and slanging dope and having cell phones. Yeah, that's all cool. And you might get a little bit
Yeah,
here and there. Everybody, because everybody's been through. The majority of people have been through the main line, and they've done a little bit of something, a little bit here, and they will share some of that stuff.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
They will show some of that, some of those things with the audience and whatnot. But that this channel is not really, that's not the focus. I want to give like a clear picture of exactly like everything that you go through, from childhood and all the way to adulthood, and to the point where you're at right now. Because most of the people or the majority or pretty much everybody that I brought into the show has they as far as changing their life, they have. They're not doing the same things. They're not participating in the shenanigans, if you will. So I want them to paint
yeah,
a picture of everything that they've gone through. So everybody gets a clear understanding of what prison really is. It's just not about slanging dope and putting
yeah,
in work and putting a Christmas tree through somebody's back. There's so much more that
yeah,
people go through prison, because obviously you're dealing with things in prison, like family members passing away, like in your case, you recently had uh two family members pass away, and you gotta figure out how to deal with this grief, if you will. And this isn't like dealing with grief on the street, where you have family members around you, possibly supporting you, if you got a support system. In prison, when somebody dies, you're gonna be dealing with that on your own. And these are the things you got to think about before you put yourself in a situation like that. Especially if you go away for a long time, people are gonna leave your life, and you're not gonna even know it. It might be weeks, days, or years before you even find out. One of your close family members, friends, or whatnot have left this earth. So you definitely want to think about those things before you put yourself at risk. And even if you're not doing those things anymore, those things still might catch up to you one day. Like I was saying earlier on, with the advancement of technology. So right now we're just gonna go ahead and wait for him to call back, and then we'll go ahead and continue. And if you're tuning in right now, I'm actually gonna have another guest at about 7:30, 7:40. I'm gonna be having Salas on. So if you're interested in listening to this conversation, I will go ahead and invite you, and hopefully you show up.
This call is now being
This
recorded.
is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Alejandro Romero.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right, Alejandro, I finished up my my piece right there on what I was speaking about, and the mic's yours. And right now, this will probably be our last call for right now, and the mic's yours. You could go and speak about whatever you want, whatever's on your mind, and whatever message you want to put out there.
All right. Yeah. Well, we touched a lot about how a prison is ran and how, what gets us here. I talked about what happened in my case and whatnot. So right now I want to take the opportunity to reach out to everybody, to those who listen to the recording or to the segment. Like all this, the gang banging, all this, like, and I get it. Look, we all live. We were all young. We all lived the young life, and every time that somebody gives us advice, we always feel like they're doing it to nag us, or to hate on us, or just to mess with us. But the reality of it is that we're not, and we don't see it till we grow up. And I'm telling you this because I've been on both ends. I remember when I was young, like I said earlier, and my parents used to be on my case about everything. I used to hate them for it. I used to sit there like, man, miss me with that shit. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I live with. You know what I mean? I don't care. I don't this. I don't that. If I do it, then I'll worry about it then. But at the bottom line of it is that I when I did happen to go to jail for whatever reason, after the advice that would give me, and I would continue messing up, end up getting in jail. Every time I was in jail, I always felt back to them. You know what I mean? Our parents, our loved ones are always there. Always, they tell us these words to help us out. And when we fail miserably, because we fail, we don't listen, we're going to fail miserably. And I'm a perfect example. You know what I mean? I always went back crying to mama. Mom, every time I got busted, Mom, I'm busted. Mándame dinero. I need this, I need that. And there's mom, always willing, always there. You know what I mean? Because we love our kids, and I know that now, me being a father. Right now, I will give my life for my kids. I love my kids. And taking the moment that I bring them up, I want to apologize to them. I want to apologize to them for making them go through what I've made them go through for my mistake. They had no part in this, and yet they paid all their life for it. My wife, same thing. I apologize to her, and I've done it many times to her. I told her many times. But now that I'm in a platform that it says it out to all those who listen, I'm saying it openly. I apologize, baby. I love you. I fucked up, and I'm sorry for what I did and what I put you through. I don't know if you're gonna listen to this, but if you do, know that I am sorry. I'm a victim of you and of our boys, and you don't know how much I regret that. I wish that I could take back everything, but what's done is done, and we can only look forward. If you find happiness somewhere else, so be it. I want you to be happy. I want my boys to be happy, and I don't wish this upon nobody. So anybody out there that's listening, if you guys take a minute to reflect, just think about it, man. Think about what you're gonna do. If you feel that it could lead you down the wrong path, then don't do it, man. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, your homies are not gonna be there for you. Your homies are not gonna help your mom out if she needs something, or your kids out. They're not. You know what I mean? Your loved ones are the only ones that are always on your corner. and they always want the best for you, like I want the best for my kids. So prison is not a place that anybody want should come to. Uh, you see it as in the government wants us to be in here. They want us to fuck up because this is their pay, this is their source of income. You know what I mean? As long as there's people like us that are fucking up, they're happy because they have their payday. At the end of the week, they're gonna get a paycheck because of us. You know. So my advice to everybody is that you know go to school. Uh, you already that opportunity is tight. It's never late. Anybody right now, I mean, I'm not going to college right now, but I started going to college, and I plan to go back and finish it because before I get out, I plan to have at least my AA, so I could have something to fall back on if Plan A doesn't work out for me, so I could have Plan B or maybe a Plan C. But it ain't a prepared man is worth two. That's what my mom always used to tell me. So focus into something your all that negative things that you guys do, focus into something positive, and you guys will see that the outcome will be better. And your life will be better. You will have no worries. You know what I mean? I mean, life always gives you shit to worry about, but at least you know that it's your life and you're living it as you want. Not as how somebody is telling you how to live it. You know what I mean? So prison is not a place for anybody. So I just recommend for everybody just to take a second and think about what you're gonna do in that situation, because we all know in those situations when it's we're caught up in the crossroad where you know that if I do this, where it's gonna lead me. If I don't, it's gonna be a better path. We always come to a point in our life where we at that road where it goes two ways. You know what I mean? And we know at that moment in time. So if you find yourself in that situation, just take a second to think back. Is it worth it? You know what I mean? Is it worth putting your family through this? You know what I mean? Or putting even yourself through it? Because at the end of the day, you're going to go through it as much as they're going to go through it. And that's it, I guess. Um,
You know what? First, I want to go ahead and thank you. Because I'm sure uh, sending out that message to your family. I'm sure it's not easy, and then you're putting it out publicly. So I want to go ahead and be the first to go ahead and thank you, and I also want to go ahead and thank you, for taking time out of your day,
This
you know,
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
to call in and share your story with us. I mean, you could have said like no, like I don't want to share this, like for what? But you went ahead and took it upon yourself to you know uh, share the story with us, and hopefully it helps one person. As long as it helps one person, then that's all that matters. As long as we could change one life,
yeah,
one path, from going down this road, then I would say it's worth it. All the hours you put in, to call me up, and all the hours I'm putting right here, to get all these people on. At the end of the day, it'll definitely be worth it. You might save somebody from getting their life taken, and then you might have somebody else that you're preventing them from being a burden on the tax system, and losing practically their whole life to incarceration. Also,
yeah,
the chat's been a little bit slower than it normally is. Normally we have a little bit more comments coming in, and right now I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to El Iceman. He went ahead and dropped two messages right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and read one of them off to Alejandro, and then El Iceman puts, hopefully someday he can get out and make it up to his kids. Yeah, hopefully, like hopefully, when you go to board, the board sees a change in you, that you're not the same person that came into the system, and they find you suitable to go home, and you are able to be part of your kid's life, and whatever family you still have out there when you get home. Speaking about the
yeah.
parole board, when are you eligible to go to your first parole hearing?
I go to my first board on 2029. that I'm aware of. But with the laws that are changing, a lot of things, my day, it started at 2035, so actually 2036. So it's been pushed back little by little, surely, slowly but surely. It's getting closer and closer. I just gotta put in the work, and that's a mindset that I already have made up my mind for a while already. So uh, I'm I'm putting in the work, um, and hopefully I could knock it out more. And it's not guaranteed that I'll go home on my first board. I'm aiming for it. That's my goal. If it doesn't happen, I'm more than sure probably by my second one I should go home. And thanks, I thank you to Iceman for that comment.
And we just got another comment from Bunny, and they put, "I'm here, brother. Just washing my dog right now. She has a bad rash." And then they put, got my earbuds in, so they're taking care of their their feline friend there, and listening. So I mean, that's good. Hey, thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. Like, I know you guys have many other options on YouTube to listen to, and I am truly honored that you guys are taking time out of your day to listen to these stories, and hopefully they fall in the right ears, and they're able to change some lives or whatnot. So that would be really great, and I think it will be a good feeling for me, and for Alejandro, and for anybody else that's coming onto this on this podcast, because ultimately that's what everybody wants. They want to prevent victims, and prevent other kids, misguided youth, from going down that same path that a lot of us at some point went down.
yeah, yeah. Remember, our stories doesn't have to be you guys' story, man. A lot of us could be example for like bad example for you guys to you're already going on the wrong path. Like I said, it's never too late to straighten up. There's an old dicho in Spanish that goes, algo que nace torcido nunca su tronco endereza. And I believe that to be false, because we could be the worst of the worst. So, and believe me, I've seen it. I've seen guys in here being co-killers, and I seen them later when they're made up their mind, they're tired of the system, and made up their mind that, you know what, I'm going home. And from the co-killers they were to the person they are now, uh, doing fundraisers, doing charities, helping out the homeless, doing hygiene, collection hygiene for the homeless out there in the street, and doing this in here. You know, uh, that says a lot. I mean, it says that anybody could change as long as you're willing to put in the work, and your heart is in the right place. Anybody could change, and the mistakes that we've done in the past, could be mended. You know what I mean? Uh, so let our mistakes be a guide for you guys, for the people out there, so you guys don't have to go through them. Learn from what we tell you guys. Learn from our heroes. We're only saying words. I mean, you could take them or you could leave them, but um, we ain't beating them into you. We ain't trying to force them into you.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
We're just saying them what, like you say, at least maybe that one person takes him in, and straightens out the life. Then that's a big accomplishment right then and there.
Absolutely right, Alejandro. And then once again, I want to go ahead and thank El Iceman. He also put another comment for you, and he said, "Thanks, Alejandro!" Two exclamation
You
points.
have 60 seconds remaining.
And before this call hangs up, I want to go ahead and let everybody know that they can actually reach out to you if they want to speak to you. If they have some questions that they don't want to ask here in the chat, they can actually download the GTL app. It's called Getting Out. Once again, when Getting Out, and you could download it from the Android App Store or the iOS App Store. And all they would have to do is put in this prison you're located, which is Centinela, and then they would put in your CDC number, and then they could get in contact they could get in contact with you within minutes. So if they have any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them a line or two. Send them some pictures or something. Something different, something to get him out of
Yeah.
his daily routine, so he could have
And
something to look forward to.
yeah, and if things don't work out with my wife, any females out there that want to reach out, I'm more than welcome to have you friends.
There it is. I know that call's about to hang up. Well, once again, I want to go ahead and thank you, Alejandro, and hopefully you have a really good night and you're able to sleep, better than you normally do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that call went ahead and terminated. I think in a few minutes, maybe like in the next 10, 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and do another live. And this is going to be with Salas Johnson. Once again, Salas Johnson. So I'm going to go ahead and terminate this live right now. But I want to go ahead and, give my thanks to everybody that's here listening right now. And hopefully you guys will come back right now as soon as I start the next stream. So I'll start it up in the next 10 to 20 minutes. If you have your notifications, it should alert you. If it doesn't, just go ahead and hit on the, look me up on YouTube, and if you see the red icon around the profile pic, then it means we're on, and just go to the live tab and you should be able to jump on. All right, and with that, I really appreciate it. You guys go ahead and have a good night. If not, then I'll see you on the next episode. With that, bye-bye. Oh, and I just saw your message, Mad Max 408. I'll go ahead and hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and then we could go ahead and continue.